the US government shutdown would end. South Korean Kospi rallied over 3%. Shares in Japan and Hong Kong also gained over a percent. The US Senate has passed the first stage of a deal that could put an end to the longest-running government shutdown. At least 8 Democrats backed the agreement proposed by the Republicans. But this deal does not address demands on healthcare made by the Democrats. The bill will now proceed to the House of Representatives for approval before being sent to President Trump for his signature. The agreement proposed by Republicans will fund some parts of the federal government, including food aid, veteran programs, and the legislative branch, among others, and extend the federal funding until the 30th of January. Joining us now to discuss this further is Utah Senator Stuart Adams and Jonathan Freedman of the World Trade Center at Utah. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. President Adams, let me begin by asking you about what you seek to achieve during your visit to India. You met, along with Jonathan, the Commerce Minister of India, Piyush Goyal, a short while back. Currently, Utah-India trade is around $624 million US. What are some of the opportunities you are looking to leverage?
Well, we believe that the world is stronger and if we work together. So one of the options we're looking at, or one of the things we hope to come out with, is a better relationship. When you trade, you actually, it's very important you have trust. In fact, probably the most important factor in any type of trade agreement or any type of trade results are having companies that trust each other and have governments that trust each other. So we're very hopeful for a resolution to the trade negotiations. But as those trade negotiations conclude, we think it's really important to be able to have relationships that are built between Utah and India. Utah is the strongest, has the strongest economy in the United States. Of all 50 states, we have the fastest growing GDP, very similar to India. So India has a strong economy. We have a very young population, and India has a young population. So as we look forward to what we can do together, we think both India and Utah have similarities and common goals, and we can strengthen both India and Utah by trying to work out and build relationships while we're here during these 2 weeks.
Right. Jonathan, if I were to ask you, which are some of the areas where you would like to expand investments, both from Utah into India and from India to Utah?
Well, let me just say thank you for having us on. We see tremendous opportunity between India and the state of Utah. Utah has always led on subnational diplomacy and economic development, and we have a delegation of business leaders and government leaders here on the ground to find those opportunities. We have great synergies between clean energy, any state in the United States, and you have great expertise there. In fact, we're both the United States and India are members of the Quad initiative, along with Japan and Australia, to shore up each other's mineral stockpiles. We see great opportunity in aerospace and defense. We're very strong in composite materials used in that industry, financial services, information technology, and so forth.
President Adams, one thing that is holding back India and US trade right now is that trade deal. We've been in negotiations for almost 7 to 8 months. There is no clarity on whether we will be able to agree on the India-US trade deal by the end of this year. What do you think is holding the US back to agreeing to any deal with India right now?
Well, again, there are sensitive negotiations going on right now, and I don't think it's appropriate for me to comment on those. But I will say that, we have smart people, and one of the best hockey players I know talked about why he was so successful. And the reason he said he was so successful, he skates to where the puck's going to be. I'm optimistic that trade negotiation will happen. And when it does happen, we hope to place Utah at the forefront of negotiations and to trade, not only negotiations, but trade deals that can happen between Utah and India. We deal with the energy issues similar to what you do. We have, again, a very smart population, very tech-savvy population. And we see the future is in IT and in tech development, AI development. But AI needs data centers, data center needs energy. Utah, we hope, is going to be an energy capital for the world. We know India, with the largest population, the fastest growing population in the world, is going to need energy. So we're here to try to work through some of those opportunities. And again, we're very optimistic. Something will happen, and I don't think it's appropriate for me to talk about those sensitive negotiations.
Right. Jonathan, the same question to you. India and the United States have always discussed ways to increase market access for US companies, reduce the trade deficit because the trade surplus is in India's favor. What do you think has changed this time around with Donald Trump in the White House for a second term? Yes, he's been asking for lower tariffs across the board, but what is the ambition? What do you think the US wants at this stage?
Well, I think that the president and his team are being very thoughtful about creating the best deal for the American people. I can certainly appreciate that. I do believe, and I think that the president also believes that we are better together. We're stronger together. There's so many commonalities between the United States and India, and we've always been allies and strong trade partners. As we look to diversify our industries away from China, not leaving, but just to diversify, that's prudent. India is a natural location for US manufacturers to partner with factories here on the ground. We'll see how negotiations go. I'm very optimistic that a mutually beneficial and prosperous deal will be negotiated between India and the United States. And as President Adams just mentioned, we are here on the ground because we want to ensure that Utah leads in partnering with companies across the country of India.
Right. President Adams, when it comes to US-China relations, there is another trade truce between those two countries. But as the president of the Utah Senate, how do you see ties with India over ties with China?
Well, I think the world is a better place when we are all able to work together. But one of the things that I think is most concerning is the lack of being able to have access to critical minerals and to other things that are very essential for manufacturing. And the world is a lot better spot when the availability of products like that are widely dispersed. As Jonathan Freedman indicated, we have a great source and we are very rich in critical minerals. We need to be able to mine those and be able to process them. India has critical minerals also, but if you have those available throughout the world, it actually allows for more stability. And you can't have any one source, because if that source is not available, our manufacturing industries, our economies all rely on those. So it's really important that we have a distribution of available resources around the world. And that's something we want to talk to India about also. Again, I think India is in a unique position to be able to help bring that world stability. And I would say that my guess is that in those trade negotiations, international security is part of that discussion. And the more we can do to promote international security, in addition to economics for both countries, I think those have to be hand in glove, tied together as security with economic trade negotiations.
Right. So, Jonathan, would you want to add to that, that currently, would you say that US companies are more interested in partnering with India because of the kind of restrictions China has put on supply chains of critical minerals? Do you think it's more important for US companies to look at those partnerships with India for the long term?
I do. I agree with that. I think that we want to make sure that we're diversified. Our businesses need certainty, and when certain supply chains get cut off, it creates uncertainty that makes it very difficult to conduct business. So, by diversifying, U.S. companies and Utah companies know that their supply chains are stable, that they can scale their businesses, which benefits both Utahns and Indians and it just makes the world a safer place. The more we conduct business together, the safer we are. It's in everyone's best interest, and that goes for countries around the world. It's in our best interest to maintain, strong partnerships and relationships that are enduring and less likely to be adversarial.
Okay, and President Adams, my final question to you. We've seen the US government shutdown almost going over 40 days. Are you expecting some sort of resolution to this in a few days?
That's hopeful. It appears they have come to an agreement. We'll see as it moves forward. And I'm confident they will. We're going to continue to try to move forward as we work through that process. But the key is not knowing what will happen. We want to position ourselves that no matter what happens, we're in a key spot to be able to maintain the strong economy that we have in Utah. Again, Utah leads of all 50 states. We have the strongest economy. We have the best regulatory environment, and businesses do better in Utah. We sense that is the same in India, and that's why we want to partner with India, because we believe a strong economy for Utah and India helps both America and India and makes the world a more stable place to live.
All right, President Adams and Jonathan Freedman, thank you so much for being with us here on Global Lens and giving us your view on what the state of Utah wants to do with India and why they see India as a preferential partner.
Thank you.
A quick look now at other global headlines.